hope you have a good filter on because, I'm struggling. I don't have that
You're in a
little.
bad mood today. You need to give this bag to
No, I'm
someone.
not going to eat a bag of dicks. No.
No, you give it to someone and you
Oh,
say,
I
"Here, eat
do.
a bag of dicks."
Well, I
It just
mean,
so happens that I'm
they're
eating them because
delicious.
they're delicious.
The Hollow Buddy. And we all feel hollow sometimes.
Welcome to the Hollow Bunny Leadership Podcast. I'm Kristen Ziman, and I'm here with my tardy but terrifically talented co-host, Sylvia Moir. She is in a cranky ass mood today, and we're going to unwrap that. I'm going to pull you out of it. I'm going to get you out of it. I'm just going to sit over here and just eat my gummy bears, and I'm going to make you happy. All right, let's talk about it. You and we did this thing. We went to
Wait,
the World Business
wait.
Forum.
We're not getting the World Business Forum before I've said before, you are like sunshine wrapped in human skin. So I'm already coming out of it. It's just been
I
a
know, I
really
feel
tough,
it.
tough,
I know.
tough, tough day getting here.
I know.
Okay.
I know. You know what?
So,
Here, do this. Let's just, we're going to do a little, just one rescue breath, babe. Just get that in. Get that in. Ooh, yeah. Okay, now breathe out all the icky. Breathe out all the icky.
you're the one breathing out the bag of dicks.
I know. God,
Which,
they're so delicious.
okay.
I know. I mean, it's just they're gummies, and gummies are just
Okay.
delicious. But
Okay.
yeah. Okay,
Now,
but let's
launch
talk
World
about.
Business Forum 2025. Let them know what we did, and then I want to pull out this one specific piece.
Okay, hold on. I have to swallow my gummy bear. I
It's
mean,
not a gummy bear.
so this is an investment that we make in ourselves every year. We go to the World Business Forum
Yep.
because thought leaders in one location. Craziness. This year's lineup: Brené Brown, Seth Godin, Adam Grant, James Patterson, the author, James Clear, Scott Galloway. Crazy. Renee Richardson, she was new to us from MIT, the MIT
Oh,
professor.
super
She
smart.
was awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, crazy. Oh my gosh,
Uh-huh.
I just love like smart people. Like it just, like that's what it was. It was like this place with all of these smarty pants. And so you and I go and we invest in it. I love to learn. You love to learn. So we show up there every year and we soak it all in. And I also love to study them and the way that they speak because, like, I like to, get some tips from other keynote speakers. But they're not really considered keynote speakers. Like, they were smart first and then they started keynote speaking. And so, like, keynote speaking is just a thing that they do to, like, I guess progress their work. But I guess that's what all of
Yeah,
us do. Like we
for
figure
sure.
things out and we share them with the world. Okay.
For sure.
Yeah. But it was awesome. We were geeked out. It was so great. I mean, let's start with Brené Brown real quick, just because she is as advertised.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And when she talked about operationalizing values, that freaking hit me like an existential pow. Because
Can
to
we talk first though
operationalize
about
value, it's like that needs to be your values need to be on in the work that you do. And I thought that was really, really cool. Really cool.
you actually brought this into a really great moment yesterday when we were just chatting on the phone and you used that operationalized value. It's
I did.
basically, to break that down, it's staying true to your values, aligned with your values, but the term op op operational, like it's action.
I
I
was
mean,
gonna make
it's
a
just
joke. Like, do
I
you
know.
have a you know what stuck in your teeth? No, yeah,
I
we'll just
do. I know.
let that shit
Yeah.
in the front.
Um, but I love that because that's what it means, is like it's action towards your values, your goals. And so whenever you get stuck, and perhaps you are a little bit stuck today, so we fall onto those values, remind
Mhm.
ourselves of the values, and then we take one step in action, and
Yeah.
just something action oriented, because that moves you, just gets you out of your rut. You can sit in your rut for a little bit. I'm going to let you sit there for a little bit, right? And that's what we have
Hmm.
to do. We have to kind of take that in. But then you've got to move somehow. Is even if it's a tiny movement,
Word.
incremental. You got to move. You have to move, and
Yeah.
yeah.
And that was a really important piece. Plus, I don't know, except for her being the head of the pickleball cult, I love
Okay.
her. I love her thinking. I really liked her. Can I say more? I liked her more when she wasn't like sitting in the C-suite with corporations and executives. I She has
Oh.
such broad appeal, and I bought her book,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been diving into that, and I find little pieces that I'm putting in my commonplace book, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this commonplace book I've had since about 2019, where I write down these quotes and these pieces, so many of them from you and from the other important thinkers and people in the world, and things I read, that I see, that I hear, that I experience, that I witness, that I'm asked, and then really have to chew on, goes in my commonplace book. So I find that I write a lot of stuff about Brene Brown and put it in my commonplace book. But I have a
Yeah,
front
she's brilliant.
runner, right? Do you have a front runner? Like, who was, did you want to say anything else about Brene Brown before I kind of,
Well, I did want to laugh a little because the
mm,
first words out of Brene Brown's mouth was a pickleball story, and anyone who knows you
mm, mhm.
knows your loathing of pickleball, which is in jest. But it
Totally
was
in
just
jest.
really funny to me that that was her
Uh-huh.
first story, and I almost fell out of my chair laughing when I looked at your face. So that was just really funny. The other thing I do want to pull on, I love what you brought out about Brene, and we'll just maybe hit the highlights. But she talked a lot about leading with fear and
Mhm.
how that is, and this is what we talk about this a lot as leaders. Do you want to be loved or do you want to be feared? And it's that Machiavellian notion who said actually it is effective to be a leader who instills fear in their people. And the reason that that is effective is because it scares people into action. They are afraid of what you will do to them if you don't fall in line. But that can only last for a very short time. And I loved how she said that we as humans, we don't operate living in that sense of
No.
fear. And the leadership of today, insert whoever's face comes to mind, that leads out of autocracy, out of Machiavellian tendencies, and leads out of fear, and where people are basically afraid to not follow or to fall out of line. And I love what she said is the human condition cannot take that for very long. Loved that.
Right. I wrote it down as fear has a rapid dissipation. It
Yes.
dissipates. So it is like it is like a spoon made of sugar, and sugar melts in water. It's like
Mm-hmm.
you can stir the pot with it, the fear ladle, the fear spoon, but
Mm-hmm.
it is going to dissipate. I found that incredibly powerful.
Yeah,
and
it really
and
was. Yeah.
and really, when she talked about braver leaders plus courageous cultures, she was really arguing for something strong, and that something strong was about what you talk about a lot and what I talk about. Candor is courage, and she talked about
Mm-hmm.
tough conversations, and then and about, there was so much that's resonant in your work about disrupting, and it is disruptive in some ways to have tough conversations, and
Yeah.
and it was really, I think, affirming that you're on the right track, and that, not that we need more affirmation of rightness, because I think we both want to know where we're wrong, but I think it does reinforce to keep that as a central theme in the messages we send around leadership.
Yeah, you're so right. I loved it. And she was just so light and breezy in the way that she talked. And I really like that. She's just like a pal, I mean,
Yeah,
I've
you
never
want
met
to
her
hang
before,
out with
but
her
she's
and
yeah,
have a
she's my
sweet
best friend.
tea. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's
Yeah.
really into sports, though. How's that resonate with you? She, a lot of sports
You
metaphors.
Sylvia, I'm a sporty girl now, so I understand all the
Mm,
sports metaphors.
yeah.
In fact, I wish Ted was on here. I mean, because like I know stats and stuff. Like I know that the Bears are in the lead, like in their division, and
What's your
I mean,
division
I know
called?
stuff. The NFC. What is it
I'm just being an
actually?
asshole. It's just funny. You're like, yeah, yeah, and they're in their division, and there are a whole bunch of divisions in football in the NFLE. Yeah, fucking
I
love
know.
that.
I know some quarterbacks now. Like I
Oh
mean,
my
it's just
god,
crazy. So
right?
actually, it's funny because I used to get annoyed and would roll my eyes. And my deputy chief, we just had this conversation. He's like, I'm so mad at you that you are into sporty ball now because
Right.
imagine all of the great combos that we could have had because I always shut them down. Everybody was like talking about sports, and I was like, all right, shut up. We have
Oh,
to like actually work. And now I would be in those conversations. And he's like, man, that was just a missed opportunity. But anyway,
totally.
so I
Do you know the
appreciate it.
Heisman
But
pose? Do you know the Heisman pose?
isn't that like where you take the football and like
Oh,
isn't it?
that's pretty good. We'll work on it.
Okay.
We'll work on it.
Okay.
I wanna be part of one of the legs of the stool that supports
Uh-huh.
you in your pedestal of sporty ball. Okay, so before we wrap up Brene Brown and get on to who are your faves and who are my
I
faves,
know you're just
but
chomping at the bit to get to your fave. I know you are. I know you
I'm
are.
fucking in love with
I know
him.
you are.
Oh,
Oop.
I said the F
Pronoun.
word. Four skills of courage. She said living into our values, rumbling with vulnerability, braving trust, and learning to rise. And I think there's a compelling piece. If any of that hits with anyone, look it up. Look it up. Look into her work because it has really folks have reported that by really diving into that, it strengthens the way they show up in all areas of their life. So I thought that was
Yeah.
really cool in
And
terms of courage.
the question that she posed to, the military and to the Seattle Seahawks, I think it was, tell me a time where, that you went into the arena and, there wasn't vulnerability involved in the risk. And she said it stumped them and they tried to kind of come out thinking, what has there ever been a time? But vulnerability is a part of everything because vulnerability and the key to vulnerability is you don't know the outcome. And it's not just like bravery, like running towards things, but it's putting yourself out there. It's risky. And I love that is grappling with vulnerability is big.
Okay, you and I have been talking about this a lot the last several weeks. And so, this vulnerability piece, what is being vulnerable? What is it?
Oh, well,
Right?
I can
Is
tell
it,
you what
it,
it's not in order to tell you what it is.
okay, help me understand.
Okay, well, because this is something, talk about, grappling with vulnerability. I mean, this is the thing that I fought my whole life. I mean, I was raised by a Marine cop who told me, don't ever let anyone see you upset. Don't ever let anyone see you emotional because you'll just be giving them ammunition to use against you. And
Ooh.
I still grapple with that. You and I had a conversation offline the other day where I was like, I don't want anyone to know that I'm upset and I'm upset and why I can't just own that. But here's what it's not.
Mm,
What vulnerability is not is that whole put on your game face, suck it up. If you can't handle it, get out. And
mhm.
the truth is that none of that serves us. And yet that is what we serve up to people. That is the message we send to people, that it's not okay to be vulnerable because we associate vulnerability with weakness. When in fact, and you and I know this, you can look around and see the most courageous leaders, and they are the ones who exhibit humility and vulnerability by saying, I don't know the answer. Don't
Yeah.
let me fail. Don't let us fail. I mean, that's what vulnerability. It's putting yourself out there because it exposes your little heart.
Oh my God. Okay, so two things. One is I'm gonna I'm just looking this up. Vulnerability, the quality or state of being exposed to the possibility of being attacked or harmed, either physically or emotionally. And this whole thing of being exposed, right? I think I described to you this kind of path I've been on this past several weeks where I have repeatedly exposed myself to the possibility of, I thought it was being being nurtured, being heard, being understood, to have compassion for me, to have empathy for the position. And what ended up happening repeatedly was that vulnerability, that exposure, the person took it and added it to their arsenal of how to damage me, and that they were right. And I thought,
That's the risk.
ooh. And so,
That's why it's risky. That's the risk. And so here, what's the alternative? So let's unwrap that. Let's unwrap that. You did the thing that exposed you.
yes,
You fell upon the sword and said,
yes,
yes, I understand. And you held a mirror up and said, here is where I could be better. Here is what I
yes,
am working on. And
yes.
then that invites the other person to then receive that in one of two ways, one of which is to be
Hmm.
very gentle with it, and to also expose some vulnerability on their end as well.
Yeah.
That's usually like the reciprocity that comes, but that is why it is a risk, because when you put yourself out there, and it's just like saying, it's like the first person to say I love you, and if they don't say it back, you've put yourself out there, and you may not receive that.
Did you
And
say
that
it first or did I? Do you remember? I love
I
you,
think we said it
friend.
at the exact same time.
One, two, three. I love you,
I love
friend.
you.
Get my bra
I
out of
think
the
we did.
freezer. We're gonna have a pillow fight. Yeah.
Okay, but I'm not letting you
Yeah.
I'm not letting you escape this, because if the other person then isn't gentle with that, and then takes it and turns around and re-stabs you with it, well, here's the challenge, is that you could take that and you could allow your heart to harden, and you could say,
Right.
never again will I be vulnerable, and never again will I trust someone. And absolutely, that is an
Not gonna do it.
alternative. That's an option, and you would never you are incapable of doing that. And so, you know what, your little heart is gonna get stomped on,
Yep.
and but you're gonna put it back, and we're gonna make sure that it's okay, because you're gonna lean into the vulnerability, but you're not gonna stop doing that. But so many people do, and
Well,
that's the risk of vulnerability.
and here's what some people would say. Here's I'm guessing what some folks would say. Why did you allow them to do that? Why did you allow them to weaponize it? It's like, wait, what? So there is to know that this is a willingness to be emotionally open, to be honest, to share thoughts and feelings and needs, even when it carries emotional risk. I'm willing to continue to do it. But then at some point, some therapist is going to say, why'd you allow them to keep
Can we
doing
talk
this
about
to you?
that? What is
Yeah.
that?
Wait.
Okay. Wait. I just had a little light bulb moment, because are we talking about the definition of insanity? Where you keep allowing someone to harm you over and over again, you expose your vulnerability, and they keep stabbing you, and then you keep doing it over. If that's
Oh,
what we're
yeah.
talking about, then
You
I
got to
agree
do
with the
it.
therapist.
Oh, yeah.
But that's
Got to do
not
it.
No, but that's not what we're talking about here. So when you have someone for the first time, where you have, shown that vulnerability to say, I am going to do better, and expose perhaps even some blind spots in myself, and you say that, and it is used against you. In our profession, we call that a clue. That is the whole trust thing, where what I say to everyone is, how do you know if you can trust someone? And the answer is simply trust them. And if they are
Do it. Yeah.
irresponsible with your heart, then you know that you cannot trust them anymore. And then becomes the definition of insanity, where a therapist could step in and go, why do you keep allowing them to do that? That was not the case. So
No,
help me
not in
understand
this.
that.
Not in this example. When you have
Yeah.
uprisings in relationships, okay, personal, parent, child, husband, wife,
Everywhere.
wife, all the places where we are, work. Yeah, I agree with you, and I guess I was too strong in my language. I think there is a tendency for some people to say, well, if you do that, you are labeled as codependent. You're going to, or whatever the psycho babble is, right? not psychobabble, because I respect therapy. But I do think there's a saturation.
Good catch.
Right? What?
It's a good catch.
It's a good catch, but it's actually
Way to
genuine. I
backpedal.
really respect. I
I know you
respect the
do. I know you
profession.
do.
Um, but I just think, I do think that those that then weaponize the vulnerability and put it in their arsenal as evidence that they're better than you or you're, whatever. I just think it is so cruel. It's like, who the fuck would do that? Oh God, I
Right.
said two F words. Okay, so I'm -2. I'm going to make amends. And who the heck would do that? And I just
Yeah.
think, wow, if somebody does that, they should really, how did I treat this person's willingness given the risk? How did I treat it? And that's what I do. But being in space with people that don't give that same kind of, don't have that natural empathy is, ooh.
Yeah.
So, what do we say about this? Besides, I don't know,
Well,
maybe I owe you $30 for a
the
partial
answer,
session.
it's really funny that the answer is clear, but the answer is simple, but it's not easy, right? And that is, when you do put yourself out there and someone takes that and abuses that privilege, then you no longer give that person that privilege.
Right.
So that's the answer. But once again, it's simple, but it's not easy because we're, the relationships that we're entangled in,
Yeah.
it's a lot more difficult, to say, okay, goodbye, never mind, because we are kind of built for forgiveness and for second chances. And we're also built not to quit. That's that part of resilience and
Oh,
grit in us. Yeah.
say more
And
about that because some people say,
yeah.
"Ooh, girl, you stayed in too long." You
hmm
like talk about that. We
Well,
are. We
listen,
will.
I've got no credibility to talk about anything. I mean, I'm no therapist, but here's what I do know is that, we do resign ourselves to this idea that we're quitters or we're giving up if we give up on this relationship and we should continue to fight for it. And it's a lot more difficult and nuanced because there's a sweet spot to fighting for things and knowing when to walk away, and knowing when to quit is honestly, I think, one of the best superpowers that we have, whether it's our job, our bad relationship, whatever it may be.
Ooh.
But instead, we're hardwired to just continue to fight and to endure, and also to mind fuck ourselves. I didn't give up the F word. To mind fuck ourselves that things aren't that bad. It's like we build ourselves in this jail cell and we decorate. We put curtains up and we add some shag carpet, and we try to tell ourselves, okay, I'm fine, it's comfortable, and really we're miserable. But it's this. I don't know if it's just ingrained in us that or that we just don't want to give up so easily. But gosh, sometimes the best thing you can do is walk away.
Do you remember what Brené Brown said in this space on this stage? And my mouth hung open. She said, "I will betray myself last."
Mm,
And you wrote it down. I wrote it down. I went, wait, what? And I have been churning on that, chewing on that since that day in early November. And wow. And so I've really been doing this work. It's like, what is the narrative I'm telling myself? I'm the author of my story. I'm the architect of my life. And what is the story I'm telling myself? And what if I could edit the next paragraph to then become this next paragraph of my life? If I could edit self to write this paragraph about what it would look like, how do I write that? And what keeps coming up for me is I visualize looking at you in that moment, and my mouth was hanging open, and you went, huh, I will betray myself last. And so, what does that mean? And for me, grappling with, I'm sure a lot of leaders grapple with this and really fight this. We have been ingrained with leaders eat last, service before self, and Cora Imparo, service is paramount. about others, you are selfish and you are not successful. You are a leader, so everyone's needs come before your own. And then when we say, I will betray myself last, I'm finding an incredible conflict in my soul about it.
Yeah, it's a
Like,
push and pull. Yeah.
ooh, girl.
Yeah. And I also think that's nuanced. It's so funny how nothing in life is either, absolute, um, or, uh, or easy, right? And that's another thing. I will betray myself last. And if you break that down into the literal sense, it sounds selfish. It sounds, as though I only care about me. But I think what we have to do is go back to the whole notion of taking care of ourselves and protecting our peace, whatever that may look like. And
Sure.
as for in leadership, it's complex in that sense, because I really do subscribe to the idea that that our people, we have to put our people first. So I think of that, of Brene, I will betray myself last, in more of a personal, interpersonal context. And I could be wrong about that, but that's how I took it. And the reason I think is just because sometimes, I will be naive, and I will, enter into bad, business relationships, or I will be the people pleaser, and I don't want to say no to this. And I know that I should. And so that is where I think about it. I think it is a very personal thing, an interpersonal thing of betraying yourself last. But I think you can be both. I think you can, you know, not betray yourself, and I think you can also still give to others, if that even makes sense.
Yeah, I don't pretend to have the answer because this, in this friction and tension in life and grappling with this is where the growth lives. And so
Yeah.
I haven't arrived at a knowing around this. It certainly is a piece worth chewing on and really sitting with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that tees us up for, it's funny because the person that you wanted to talk about so badly was who?
Adam Grant.
Adam Grant. He's just is
Okay.
I mean, he's my
Uh,
boyfriend.
he's your boyfriend, and I want him to cheat on you with me because I'm in love with his
Okay.
brain. I'm in
Uh-huh.
love with his
Yeah.
heart.
Yeah.
He's an agreeable Canadian. As I understand it, he is fantastic. And what I want to talk about is when he discussed a challenge network, and he put up
Mm-hmm.
a this really cool cartoon. If you recall, there's a long line of people and two tables with signs on them, and there's a long line going to one table and no line in front of the other. And so
Mm-hmm.
imagine in your mind's eye two tables and a long line, and that long line is standing in front of the table that says comforting lies,
Yep.
comforting lies. And the other says unpleasant truths. And there's a long line of people in front of comforting lies.
Yep.
And there's no line in front of unpleasant truths. And he was talking about a challenge network. And I pulled up his book and I looked at my notes inside, and I had created my challenge network, of which
Mm-hmm.
you and Tunny obviously are in the challenge network because you will give me the unpleasant truths. Do you
Yeah.
remember that cartoon?
Oh, totally. I absolutely. In fact, I took a picture of it with my phone, with him standing in front of it. I loved it so much. And what he was talking about is that disagreeable giver, the person who has your best interest in mind, at heart, but will always tell you the truth. It's what we always say is, do you want me to tell you what you want to hear, or do you want me to tell you the truth? Because sometimes we need to be handled very gently, and sometimes we don't want to hear the truth. And so we have to respect that. Sometimes we're just not ready to hear it. We just need to sit, in the mud for a little bit. But that disagreeable giver is your challenge network, are the people around you that say, listen, I see things a lot more clearly than you. I can help you through this. Are you willing to listen and to tell you the truth, the uncomfortable truth? And those are our team of truth tellers that we have to surround ourselves. And what he said was, honesty is the highest form of loyalty.
Oh my God. I literally have that note right here as in preparation for this conversation. Honesty is the highest aspect of loyalty. What? Yes. And so there's this piece about loyalty that has resonated with me quite strongly. And early in 2001, I went to sergeant school and they talked about loyalty. And they said, "Are you loyal to people?" I'm like, "Oh, hell yeah. It's something I'm really good at." And they said, "What are their values? And if they step outside of their values, do you stay loyal to them?" And I went, wow, I think I'd stay
Mm-hmm.
loyal to my values. And really that's the lesson. We're loyal to the people as long as they demonstrate the values that we hold dear. And honesty is one of those values.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I loved that. I loved that. I also loved what he talked about. He changed my my paradigm when it came. You know how we talk about all the time, fight for feedback. You know, I learned that from my daughter when, you know, in the military,
Oh,
where
really?
the phrase, fight for feedback, right? You know, and so I apply that to everything. I tell people, throw spears, you know, and I fight for feedback. And he had me completely, he had my molecules like completely scrambled because he said, feedback is from the past. You know, can you give me feedback on that thing that happened? He said, but when you ask for advice instead of feedback, is advice is for the future. And I've
Right.
really taken that to heart. At the end of every one of my keynotes, I always fight for feedback, and I tell my audience that, you know, I'd love to hear from you. Tell me what I can, you know, tell me what feedback that you have for me. Throw spears at me, and instead, I've rephrased that now and said, I would love some advice going forward on how I can be
Ooh,
better. Isn't that crazy? It's just
ooh,
completely reframing it, but it also makes people want to go, "Oh, here's something that you could think about for the future," instead
fun.
of critiquing the past. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, and I'd forgotten about that piece. That is so powerful because
It
it
is.
really reframes not only how you receive it, but it reframes for the participant in answering that question to look
Mhm.
at where you are right now and how they might be able to and be part of strengthening your future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And people
Holy,
want to help with that. There's a resistance to people. It's like, you know, why these, you know, these 360s, you know, it's like, tell me, you know, everything about my leadership. And the way that it's phrased, it's like, give me feedback, you know, and again, feedback, you know, it's backwards. It's from the past,
mm,
but hey, I'd love some advice from you. And people, it's kind of innately wired in us that we want to help people and give them advice. So I don't know. It's just, it really is probably just semantics, but for me, it has really changed the way I think about that. It's like, I'd love to get some advice from you. I don't know. It
wow,
works.
that's rad. That's rad.
Yeah.
And he put up something that is so Kristen Ziman. Remember, it said, "Don't wait for confidence." It was this kind of flow chart. You know, it's the yes no kind of chart. And it says, "I want to do this." On the left side it says, "Do it." And on the right side it said, "But I'm scared." And then he said, "Do it scared."
Do it
I was
scared.
like, "Oh my God,
Yes.
that's so Kristen." It's like
Oh
I
my
could tell
God. I
your
know.
boyfriend and girlfriend because you guys
I
were having that moment.
know.
And
It's
right,
my
and that is
boyfriend.
vulnerability, right?
Yeah.
It is
Right there.
do it
All of it.
scared. Do it
All of
scared.
it.
Go get it.
Asking for advice. I mean, all of that is
Ooh,
vulnerability. I mean, like, hey, you know, you're asking someone to tell you how to be better, you know, and I mean, that's a thing, right? And that's vulnerable when you ask someone, you know, how can I be better? Whew, that's exposing yourself, you know, to critique. And it's big stuff. So
it
those were
is a
our
big
two
deal,
highlights from that. We could go on and on and on
but we
and
won't.
talk about it, but we won't, because you're probably on your commute to work. You're probably sitting in the parking lot, and they really need you to go in. You know, so you know we'll let you have your day back.
Yeah, so vulnerability, really the quality of or state of being exposed to the possibility of being attacked, harmed. And you know what we say? If you're scared, do it anyway.
Yeah, do it
And
scared.
and really, if someone is being vulnerable with you, we encourage you to treat that as the gift that it is and to be in that space with them and perhaps consider how you will provide input based on their vulnerability and what they told you about their themselves or the thing.
Yeah. I think the challenge for all of us going forward, listeners, is to start grappling with that vulnerability, whatever that thing is, and don't let your heart be hardened by someone who abuses that vulnerability that you have put out there, because I think that's kind of part of the problem in the world is people are walking around because they're so afraid to expose themselves or their feelings or admit their flaws because someone will take that and attack them. And honestly, that's what we do in politics and leadership is like, nobody admit fault, nobody say you're wrong, and when that to me is the thing that builds trust is when I can look at a leader and hear them say, I messed up. I could have done better. And here's what I'm going to do going forward. That's vulnerable. And we need to stop stabbing them when people do that. So it's like, we're also part of the problem because we don't tolerate allowing people to be vulnerable. And so I think that's maybe something that we all need to think about as we kind of move about the world going forward.
Right on. Super hope this filled some already solid bunnies and you find a little nugget to chew on and then operationalize and take some action on behalf of yourself and your leadership journey.
That's it. You guys, if you like what you're doing, show us some love, subscribe, like. Oh my God, Sylvia, I didn't tell you this. Spotify just came out today with, I don't know if you got it, but if you are a subscriber to Spotify, it will give you all of your
How old
top
are you?
songs.
How old are
Guess
you?
how many? No, guess how many screenshots I got of people showing me that Hollow Bunny was their number one podcast.
What?
Swear for God. Yeah. Is that crazy? Is that
I
crazy?
love that. Love
I
it.
know.
It also tells
In
you
fact,
your listening age. How old are you?
I haven't even checked mine. I just got screenshots of people that sent me that Hollow Bunny. And so I said, I'm going to send them a mug. In fact, they said that Hollow Bunny and the Disruptors Creed were their top 2 listening podcasts. So I was like, I got to send you some merch.
Is one of them Adam
anyway,
Grant?
no, I don't think he
Did
knows
he?
I exist.
Did he? I think he knows. He knows. And I'm in love
for
with him.
saying
I
that.
think we can be a throuple
Oh my God, let's be
of
a throuple.
intellectual
Get on.
curiosity and contribution.
Yeah. Yeah, just like a cerebral throuple. Okay, I love that. So anyway, what I was saying was subscribe and like and review and spread the word. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. This podcast is produced by the incomparable Ted Madden, and the music you're about to hear was written and performed exclusively for the Hollow Bunny podcast by my handsome and talented son Jake and his friends Fabian and Zoe. And if you don't like our podcast, move along. There's nothing more to see here. And remember, keep filling your own bunny and add substance to others. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
When you look inside, what do you find? Are you content to fall behind? When you lose your way and you've lost your why, have courage and get ready to fight the hollow bunny. When the way ahead is covered in smoke and you're tired and you're scared and you're losing hope, you'll open your heart and your eyes to see a challenge and a question, why not me? To fight the hollow bunny. And we all feel hollow sometimes, but the monsters are only in your mind. It's a tough pill to swallow, but if you're brave and kind, you'll be alright. If you fight the hollow bunny. When the challenge ahead scares you to death, you tame the imposter inside instead. To change the world, you've got to start small. It takes a leader to say, I don't know it all. And I know I'm gonna fall, but I'll pick it up and come back stronger. Failing forward and moving onward, doing the hard thing and the right thing, forever fighting the hollow bunny. And we all feel hollow sometimes, but the monsters are only in your mind. It's a tough pill to swallow, but if Something's gonna crack, you've gotta start again. And we all tough on the outside, but empty within. Something's gonna crack, you've gotta start again. The monsters